Investing in women and girls is the best investment you are going to make. It's not just a matter of giving money or giving a course. Women and girls are leaders. Wonder started officially 13 years ago when a group of us decided to formalize the work we had been doing informally, maybe during 5 to 7 years, supporting different charities working with women and girls all over the world. We met as friends when we were studying at university, and then as we all went back to our countries, all of us started getting involved in different local charities supporting women and girls. 13 years ago, we thought, well, we've been doing this for a while, we have a lot of experience, we have a lot of learning to share with the world. It should be good if we formalize it, become a charity. What I was thinking as I started getting involved in the world of charities in the UK, I've been working in the charity world for 35 years. I realized that a lot of us who were living together, studying together, had good, stable families. They had a roof over our heads, we had electricity, we didn't have to walk to school for hours, we had a bus that take us there, we had books, we had pencils, we had light, we had a desk, and yet none of us were super successful or millionaires. And how we expect people to go to a little course and to change their lives forever. So I thought the way that sometimes charities market themselves seem to be a bit superficial and not doing much good to the women, to the girls that they were trying to help. The biggest barriers that the women and girls we work with and we meet in our projects face are, well, many of them don't have parents. They are orphans because the situations in their countries are very precarious and the life expectancy is very short. And not only they are orphans once, but they may be multiple time orphans, which means that probably they have had to move from place to place and started and stopped education. So you may have someone at 17 who has only primary school education and probably not very good because the education in some of those contexts are not of the quality we have here. Many of them have suffered trauma through the experience of being orphaned, violence, they have been fleeing from war or from natural disasters. The fact of moving and breaking up with what is familiar and family ties, a lot of them are isolated. You know, when you are poor, it's not just a matter of not having money. Also, you don't have networks and opportunities, and your world is totally different from the reality that you can have if you had better networks and opportunities. Just yesterday, I was talking to a friend who's going to do an MBA in the States and paying £350,000 only for the networks. And I was like, wow, that is how much networks are worth. So imagine people who are not even in that position. A lot of organizations offer opportunities and resources and even education. I think what is missing is attention to each person and to each individual there in your setting, because everybody would have experience in a very different way. And that's why, for us, mentoring is essential, because what maybe we don't realize is that once you have suffered a lot of stress, your brain changes. It's because our brain gets into the stress mode and the executive function gets impaired. You develop skills to survive rather than to thrive. And in fact, this happens to us. This can happen in life to a maximum degree and have horrible consequences. So getting out of that habit of being stressed all the time is very important. In the mentoring, the women and the girls have someone that listens to them, that really appreciates them and is not judging them. And for many of them, this is the first time in their lives that someone else is interested in their life. They learned that they matter. They learned that they are significant. They learn that they have something to give. And once you discover that, the world is your oyster. It's much easier to apply the education and the knowledge that you are receiving. It's much easier to be enthusiastic about the life possibilities and, the good that you can do. Now, a few years ago, in the Baytree Center where I used to work, we roll out this mentoring program. And one of the mentors was talking to one of the women that used to come to learn English in their one-to-one. And in the conversation, the mentor realized that she wasn't moving this part of her body. And she asked her, "Are you okay?" And the lady said, "Yeah, I'm fine, but what's wrong with your shoulder?" And the lady said, "Nothing." And then after a few more questions, the woman said, "Actually, I have this permanent pain and I'm kind of used to it because I'm a cleaner. And if I don't go to work, I cannot earn money, I cannot support my daughter, and I have to go to work. So I don't think about it, but I think I have this kind of permanent pain." So the mentor, who happened to be a doctor in her own country, encouraged her to go to the GP, and the GP, in fact, examined her, sent her to the specialist, and they realized she had something deeply broken inside her shoulder. She had an operation, which she didn't want to have, but the mentor really encouraged her to have an operation because she had to take time off, etc. And when she came back from the operation, suddenly she realized that all this time while she has been in the UK, she had come here as a asylum seeker and then a refugee, she had been working as a cleaner, but in her own country, she was an accountant. So after that permanent pain disappeared, she realized actually she could just train a few courses for accountancy in the UK, and she's now working as an accountant. Her daughter is able to attend a very good school, and she was able to marry her partner. She was never able before to make that decision because there were so many things in her life stressing her. And she used to work sometimes even 20 hours a day, cleaning and moving boxes from several warehouses. Her English improved and her life has changed totally. I think for me, this is a very clear example of empowerment. Well, I would like people to take away lots of things. One thing is that poverty is complex, and therefore the solutions are also complex. It's not just a matter of giving money or giving a course. That can be of some help, but getting someone to really move out of poverty takes more than that. And I think to look at life and to look at charities and to look at the people we encounter, first of all, with compassion, with understanding, with hope, realizing that life's problems are more complicated than what we can think because our experience sometimes is very limited. Your experience, my experience, is just a voice, but it's not the voice, it's one voice about many. What Wonder does is that, first of all, in order to solve the problem or the situation or to support a woman to walk out into that room where she belongs and where she's not now, we work a lot with them. So we work with locally led organizations that are embedded in their communities and led by women with lived experience of the situations they're trying to solve. We work with them, we talk to them, and our programs are very much co-designed, even designed by them. I think these solutions are very good because they respond to a reality that is the one they know. We bring a different perspective because we bring the perspective of all our other partners, and there are many learnings that can be shared. And sometimes when you are working in a particular project, you don't have time to go to a seminar or to learn about something. So the network that we have is very good because it allows these leaders to talk to each other, to share experiences, to share problems, to rejoice together, to celebrate together. And I think that is the value that Wonder brings. So when we started working informally with each other before we formed Wonder as a charity, what we realized is that there were lots of things the women and girls we were working with in different countries had in common, funnily enough, even though we came from different contexts. At the same time, we realized that the context made a huge difference. So in the Philippines, it's a matriarchal society. It's completely different from a place like Kazakhstan, where women had hardly any rights until recently. Very different from some of the women we work with in Kenya and some of the Luo women we're working with in our Zero project. So although lots of things are in common, lots of things are also very different. And that's why, for us, what made us realize here we have something that is unique is that the driving force for change comes from the projects themselves, because they have very specific contexts that I cannot possibly know, imagine, or even understand sometimes. And I've been in Zoom calls or in phone calls with partners, and I just could not understand what they were talking to me. And I said, okay, I need to go there and see for myself. And then I saw exactly what they were trying to explain, which before it couldn't fit into my head. An example of this is how we have adopted the empath mentoring methodology to different contexts. So empath was developed by Empath Mobility Pathways, a charity in the States, which is amazing. And we took it and brought it to London. So we had to translate a lot of that to the English context. They were working with American citizens. We were working with refugees. So even the women we were dealing with was completely different because they didn't speak English. They didn't have a poor housing situation. They had no housing. So we really had to make some adaptations. But then we took the method, the bridge, and the goal setting to different contexts. And for instance, Empath works along 5 bridges. In Kenya, we reduced to 3 bridges. In Kazakhstan, when we told them about the Empath methodology, they looked at it, they studied, and they thought, we like it, but we have something else that works with us. And that's fine. So this is one of the examples, working with the local partners. Okay, this tool seems very good. Do you like it? Okay. And then how can we change it so that it's useful and relevant to your context? Well, if you're thinking where to invest in Wonder Foundation. I mean, investing in women and girls is probably the best investment you are going to make. When you invest in a woman, that person would invest 90% of her income back to her family and the community. Women and girls are leaders when it comes to environmental change and climate change. So these are things that are in our heads and in our hearts nowadays, as well as peace. We live in a world that is overcome by wars and violence and aggression. I'm not saying that women cannot be aggressive or violent, but when you have women in positions of leadership, there is more talking and less thoughtless action. I think if more women were in charge, there will be probably a chance that we wouldn't be where we are today. Great. That's it, no?
Mm-hmm.
Home?